Welcome to Lights on Blackfriars. My name is Aubrey. I'm the Director of Education Programs here. Lights on Blackfriars is a monthly series. This is our last one of the year. We're going to be ringing it in with very merry conversation right here behind me. So I hope you enjoy it. Give them a round of applause.
Welcome, my name is Leah Wallace. I am the Education Programs Manager here, and it is a joy and a delight for me to get to introduce the director for our production of A Christmas Carol opening this evening, Stephanie Holladay Earl. I'm going to tell you a little bit about her. She's been a professional actor, director, and choreographer for over 15 years, earned her BA in Theater Performance and Dance from Greensboro College and her MFA in Acting from the University of Houston's Professional Actor Training Program. She has served as an adjunct professor at the University of Houston, Lone Star College, and Mary Baldwin, and is currently a professor of theater, associate professor?
Yep, you're right.
Associate professor of theater at Randolph College in Lynchburg, Virginia, where she is the chair of the undergraduate theater program. Stephanie first came to the American Shakespeare Center in 2011, where she has since had a hand in more than 45 productions.
Wow, you counted.
I did. Some highlights of her directing work with ASC include the first production in ASC's Shakespeare's New Contemporary series, Amy E. Whitting's Anne Page Hates Fun in 2019, and Every Brilliant Thing in 2022, and of course, the 2017, 2018, 2019, 2021, 2022, 2023, and 2024 productions of A Christmas Carol. Some of my favorite highlights of her acting work include, with the ASC, include her performances as Hermione in The Winter's Tale, Helena in A Midsummer Night's Dream, Gertrude in Hamlet, Beatrice in Much Ado About Nothing, King Henry in Henry VI Part 1, and the Duchess in The Duchess of Malfi, and Mary in The 12 Dates of Christmas. It's fabulous. I could go on, but I'll stop. It is, as always, a pleasure to have you and to share some light with you tonight. So everybody knows how this is going to go. I've got some questions to ask Stephanie first. I'll do that for about 3 minutes, and then I will open it up to questions from you all. So prepare yourselves and be ready when I'm ready to call on you. So for those who don't know you yet, despite your storied history with us, let's just start at the beginning with your life story.
Okay.
But just with the through line of your journey to the stage, how did you get to where you are today?
Yeah, thank you. So, 3-year-old, I feel like my story feels like so many stories. It feels like the same one that many people have, which is it started with a production of Annie. I have an older cousin who is going to be auditioning for the community theater local production of Annie. She wanted to be an orphan. She was like 11, and I was 3, and Annie happened to be my favorite movie. I watched the production over and over and over again on loop. And when I heard that was happening, I don't think I knew what that meant. I have no memory of this. So I'm going off of what people have told me. But I remember loving the movie. I don't remember the conversations of begging to audition, but apparently that's what happened. And my mom was very hesitant. She was like, they had no background in theater. I had no background in theater. And took me to this community theater audition. There were probably like 100 little girls there trying to be orphans. And apparently I sat in the back of the theater, and my mom had no intention of actually making me audition. She sort of was like, well, maybe you can just go and see what this is. And so we sat in the back of the theater, and they allowed us to observe some of the other kids auditioning. And I said I didn't want to do it. And my mom was like, that's fine, we'll just go. And then on our way out, apparently the music director walked over to me, said something to me. My mom said she was too far away to hear. But whatever he said, I walked up on stage and I sang the song that I had practiced at home with my mom. And they cast me as the littlest orphan, Molly. And that was my very first show. And the reason that I tell so much about it is that the cool thing is that Sutton Foster was Annie in that production.
Oh my goodness.
How random, right? Like, just random. Like, community theater in Augusta, Georgia. Yeah, so that's how it started. And then I fell in love with it immediately. And I don't know how many people figure out what they want to do with their lives when they're 3 years old, but I did. And so it was always that. I leaned heavily on dance for a long period of time. For a while, I was really heading more the classical ballet route. And then but never stopped doing theater as well. And I did all kinds. I mean, mostly I feel like what you have as children are musicals is what I had access to. That's what people wanted to see, and that's what was available to me. So singing and dancing became part of, by necessity to be able to be in those productions. And the dancing thing, I got very serious about that, continued theater. Actually went to North Carolina School of the Arts for part of high school because I was going to be a ballet dancer. That's what I thought I wanted to do for a while, and then changed my mind and pivoted back to musical theater and theater. And then, decided to go to college, went to Greensboro College, which is not too far from here. They have an amazing theater department, smallish school, but a very strong theater department where I felt like, Greensboro College, which is actually just around the corner. The nice thing about it is that it's about 50 to 60 majors, so there's enough to have like a pool of competition and a pool of, the expanse is big enough that we could do big shows, but everybody got a lot of really individual attention, which was good. Let's see, what on earth happened after that? After college, I went right into, a week after graduating, I went right into a job at the Barter Theater. I was in their apprentice program. And that was for 15 months, so I was an acting apprentice where we were in some of the main stage shows in ensemble roles, but we were, as a company, created our own TYA shows, children's theater productions. And in the meantime, also working backstage and wardrobe, set changeovers, because the Barter, which you all may know from not being too far from here, they do 4 shows just about every day. So there's a ton going on, and they're changing the set, full sets in between productions. So we were a large part of that process. After my apprenticeship was over, I stayed on and part of as a company member for another 2 years. Then decided I wanted to go, and I moved to Chicago for a little while, and was really cold, and but it was good. And then just kind of, it had always been in my mind that I wanted to go to graduate school, and by this time I thought I'd finally figured out what I wanted that to look like. Instead of just generally, I want to be better and do better and get more training, I knew specifically that I really was focusing on, I really wanted to do classical work. So started looking at programs while I was living in Chicago, and just so happened that my day job was at Macy's downtown State Street, Chicago, and Erda's auditions were like, I went and auditioned to Erda's like on my lunch break or something, and ended up from those auditions at University of Houston, classical theater training program. A lot of folks from that program have ended up on the stage. Caught it. And then from there, I actually auditioned for the ASC in Houston. They did a tour of different colleges and universities looking for actors. And my husband, Patrick Earl, he and I had just gotten married a couple of months before that audition. And we met in grad school, and we decided to move here to be on the tour. And then we actually sublet our apartment in Houston because we liked it so much there. We intended to go back, but we just never did. We're still here.
You still subletting that apartment?
Yes. It's a lucrative, no, I'm just kidding. It's very lucrative. I'm just kidding. Yeah, no.
So at the ASC, in the touring troupe.
Yeah.
Came here. Talk to me about your experience joining this company, working in this space, and then taking those shows on the road in what I hear is 11 months in a Honda Odyssey.
That's exactly what it is, with some little breaks in between. It is, I toured for 4 years consecutively, which is a very long time to live out of a Honda Odyssey. And it was hard. By the time I was done, it was less about the fact that it was the touring shows and more about the fact that it just was sort of untethered was the feeling that I was starting to have. But it was an amazing time. We would perform to crowds bigger than you'd ever get to perform for on those tours. I mean, we would go to, forgetting the name of the venue in Nashville. but there were like something like literally 1,000 people watching a 10 a.m. performance of Hamlet. It was things like that, small productions, intimate productions as well. Having the exercise of having to stretch yourself on that kind of scale, small shows, big shows, and trying to find a way to put the show up and make it work with not very many scenic elements. It was a great thing. It was a really, really, it was a great learning experience. I got to play a lot of amazing roles, got to learn a lot more musical instruments that we were just talking about before. And yeah, it was, it's not easy. I mean, it's definitely, it can be grueling to just, sort of drive for 2 days, show up somewhere, and then maybe do 2 shows back to back with like setup and changeovers and things in between. But it was a way of, I also loved that seeing how the ASC has touched people everywhere. When you go on tour, you really understand how much this place means to people from all over the country. And getting a chance to see people in the Midwest or somewhere in, Arkansas or Florida. And people were expecting us and looking forward to us being there every year and would ask us about particular actors if they were still touring. If people back here were still in the resident troupe, it was, there are people who are, just the fan base is wide ranging. So I think that's one of my favorite things about it. Yeah.
Any tour horror stories that have become hilariously shareable?
Oh, goodness.
With the benefit of some time and distance.
Yeah. I think that I had a unique touring experience in the fact that I was touring with my husband. Mm. He and I toured for 4 years together. And so if you know that your roommate is going to be the person you've chosen to be your roommate, then you have a bit of an easier situation than others. So I would say first and foremost, that is, my experience was maybe different than others. But we had sometimes actors who had to room together that could not get along. And I remember there being a couple of times where I would like walk out into the hallway and see people taking turns resting because they didn't want to be in there with each other. So I would say that's sort of some of the, I don't know if that's hilarious, but it's definitely, that's the first thing that comes to mind.
That's amazing. Well, speaking of touring with your husband, I have always, one of the wonderful things the ASC does in non-Christmas seasons is repertory. So we have the same, you're touring 3 shows on the road. So you're playing a wide variety of parts throughout that season.
Yeah.
And one season, you played Gertrude to your husband's Hamlet.
Yep.
Which
is weird.
It sure is. And then I believe you were Benedict and Beatrice in the same season. Mm-hmm. Tell me more.
And then in another one, in Duchess of Malfi, we were brother and sister, and he was trying to kill me the whole time.
Well, kill you and also, like, not kill you.
Right.
Right. Kill you and, like, kill you.
Right. Yeah.
And then he was also a werewolf.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's a great play.
Yeah. It is a great play. That is something that we would get asked about in just about every talk back. Is like, that's weird. And it's not even a question. It's just like, that's weird. And you're like, yes, it is. But I think what's interesting is that by the time you break down like the amount of stage time that Hamlet and Gertrude have together, and like what is going on moment to moment, you start really focusing on that, and it becomes less weird, I guess, if that makes sense. That it's really more about like, what is the dynamic here at play in this particular moment in time? Who has maybe the power? What are they trying to get from each other? And you have to trust that the production itself, the words and the direction will make it look as if you are mother and son, as opposed to having to feel like you are mother and son. That you hope that all of the different gestures and proximity, distance, all of the different factors will create what looks like that, as opposed to actually like feeling that internally. I guess that's probably how I sort of had to frame that in my mind.
So you're saying acting?
Yes, I'm saying acting.
Got it.
Yeah, when you get right down to it, like any relationship that there is a closeness or an intimacy, when you really break down like what that has to physically look like and how that takes shape and how you speak to each other, it becomes by necessity technical. And so you have to I think in a play like that, with like where you're playing mother and son with your husband, you have to really allow the technical to be your friend.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have choreographed dance pieces for over, I think it's definitely more than 30.
Yeah.
And this is such a unique space in so many ways. And I'm always in awe of the choreography, both dance and combat that we do here, because you're choreographing for a three-dimensional space. And I would love to hear your thoughts on what it's like to create pieces for this space.
Yeah, it's definitely challenging in some ways, but in other ways it's become easier to me. And maybe that's because it's what I've become used to. Or easier, more fun, maybe that's a better way to say it. I will say for me, what I find challenging is that in a lot of dance pieces, you're trying to sort of get scope, but you have a small number of people. And so the way that it makes the most sense for me to achieve that is to change formations a lot and to rely less on the actual steps themselves. And partly too, I mean, just for the fact that our performers most of the time are not dancers with a capital D. Most of the time they are actors who move. Every once in a while you get someone in here, I'm thinking of my friend Abby Hawk who came through here. She and I choreographed an actual tap dance together because the two of us.
I cannot even.
But that was like a unique circumstance where you have somebody who is like that was a primary part of their training or their professional life. Just like we have musicians. We get musicians all the time, but we very rarely get dancers. And so when you're thinking about how you're going to put steps on actor bodies, and some of our actors are brilliant movers, clowns, combatants, all those things, but are terrified to dance. I mean, you really and truly, terrified of it.
It's a specific kind of vulnerability.
It is a very specific kind of vulnerability. And so I think when you're looking at the fact that you have audience everywhere and you have a huge array of levels, you're not choreographing in a musical, which I've done plenty of that as well, where you're choreographing Oklahoma, and you've chosen the people that are going to be in that production, and they're all relatively on the same level, and so therefore they have the same vocabulary. You're kind of starting from scratch every time. So for me, formations are my friend. I think about I literally, when I'm choreographing, I plot out what the stage pictures are going to be and where I can give impact to different parts of the audience. And I always say that it looks like a marching band notation. I was on a dance team in high school where we had to get those charts from the marching band. So maybe that's where, you get the chart and you're like, oh, okay, we're on the 50-yard line here. And then we moved to the 10-yard line. And so that's how I think of it. So I sort of figure out, okay, in this part of this music, I think we're making this shape. And in this part of this music, I'm making this shape. And in this part of this music, I'm making this shape. And then I figure out how all those are going to connect through story. What story am I trying to tell within that? And then the very last thing is figuring out what the steps are. Honestly, the steps are the last part for me. Everything else is, you can't have 11 people or 12 people in one formation just doing steps. That just absolutely won't work. Whereas that you can get away with things like that sometimes in a big, especially old-fashioned musical. You see that. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I would say lots of changing patterns, stage pictures.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're your friend.
Yeah, that's your friend.
So in case you weren't aware, it's Christmas. And I would love to turn to A Christmas Carol.
Yeah.
It's an iconic story that I feel we have as a country adopted, though it didn't start with ours. Charles Dickens, English, not alive anymore. Okay.
Damn.
I know. I hate to break the news to people constantly. Shakespeare is dead. You're not going to meet him tonight. I'm sorry. Yeah. So you're not going to meet Charles Dickens tonight, but we are here. And I'm wondering, what was your first encounter with the story of A Christmas Carol? Do you remember?
Oh goodness. Definitely childhood. I think I had an elementary school teacher read it to us.
It's a great way to get
I think that's actually the first time that I heard it, because I remember seeing it. The Muppet Christmas Carol would be the second encounter. And I remember hearing some of those words and knowing that I'd heard them like the specific sentences and syntax and specific lines from the Charles Dickens. So I think it was read to me, and then the Muppets.
As for so many of us.
Yeah.
Definitive Muppets.
The Muppets is yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
So we were just counting before we let people in, and this is the 14th Christmas Carol at the ASC that you have been a part of.
Yep.
You were an actor for 5 years.
Uh-huh.
Then you choreographed.
Yep.
And then this is your 8th time directing the show.
Yes.
First of all,
yeah, thank you.
yay. Thanks. So what, if you can remember all the way back to the first time that you, like, what was it like to make the transition from the first time you were, or the last time perhaps, that you were a performer in this show into your first time choreographing?
I think the thing about, and so in that there were really 2 main versions that I've worked on here. And I would say both of those versions have a lot of similarities and a lot of differences, but one thing they have in common is the backstage choreography is very, very intense. A lot of doubling, a lot of soundscape, and we used to do the show with no backstage help, no wardrobe assistants and no assistant stage managers. It was literally only the actors back there. So it was, a lot of our Shakespeare productions can be that way too. That is second, you're literally like playing a fanfare and then you set it down and you're the person you were playing the fanfare for, like that kind of thing. That I remember settling into that. So it's funny because you do a production of Christmas Carol here, and for the first couple of days, you're in a state of panic. I mean, you don't look like it out here, hopefully, but back there, as soon as you go backstage, you're like, the scenes are so fast, you're jumping through time, you're trying to keep up with where you are, and then by the end of the run, because you do so many productions close together in a very short amount of time, a week goes by and then it feels like you have an eternity between scenes. Like you've just gotten your track so down so clearly. So I would say the getting to know it so intimately was really beneficial for, taking on just roles on the outside, choreographing, and I choreographed it actually some of the time when I was in it as well. But choreographing it and being on the outside, to already have an appreciation of what the show is back there is everything.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's everything. When you're asking someone to go from here to here, you know what you're asking them. You know that you are asking them to do 5 things on the way to there. When you say, is it possible to get from here to there, you know that's a real question, So I would say that being able to be intimate with the play from a few different characters. I played the same track for 3 of those years as an actor, and then the same track for 2 of those years as an actor. But because the holidays tend to be a germy time of year, I would often have other roles sort of like added to my track. Like, oh, you're going to also play Fan tonight because, you can technically get to Fan before you get from here to here. Yeah. So being able to be backstage and understand it so intimately and on stage so intimately, really is a huge, I've never ever had that experience really of a show where I was a part of it for so long inside it and then became the outside of it. I'm very used to building a show from the outside, and not having that chance to do both. Yeah.
It's got to be really beneficial for the people you're working with, like to know what you're asking.
Yeah. I hope so. I think so. Yeah.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
So it's not a remount every year, but it is a bit different to step back into a show where you are aware of what the beats are and you're intimately familiar with it from multiple sides. What is it like? Was there ever a time that you felt like you were starting from scratch with this show?
A little bit between 2017 and 2018. So that is when we switched. Yeah, that's when we rewrote it. And
by we, I should say James McClure, who is the playwright who adapted Dickens story for the stage.
And at that time, Ann Morgan, who was a literary manager for a bit here, she and Jay were really developing it together, and they allowed me to be a part of that process. I did not do any of the writing, but as it went through different drafts, I was able to, throw out ideas. There were things that Jay really wanted to take back to the original Dickens. There were things that had sort of like made their way into the script that you're not really sure anymore what the origin is. You're like, is this needing to be here or not? So taking a look at those things. And then some of the things that, we wanted to have a fresh perspective on. Some things become a little bit problematic. There's a guest in Fred's party that we kind of maybe just leave in the short story. There's other things to highlight from that party. From getting to adapt it, from getting to go from 2017 to 2018, it really felt like everything changed.
Yeah.
And that very first year in 2018, it really felt like with that particular company of actors, we were really creating it for the first time. And Jay was in the room with us a lot, and Ann was in the room with us a lot, and we really felt like we were, like that was new play development time.
Yeah.
That's the way that it felt.
I remember a big shift in structure from the before having that central narrator character that was kind of the lead of the show along with Scrooge, and then it shifted into the ensemble-based piece that we have now, and it feels so, well, everybody is doing everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it is a bit, there were tracks that were maybe simpler on stage, I would say, but everybody was still running around backstage. But yeah, the group narration, the 11 or 12 voices giving us the story was really important to Jay. And it definitely creates a lot more opportunities to create theatricality. We have to become a boat. We have to go to ship. We have to become a horse carriage. It definitely allows for those things to sort of come about more organically when you have 11 or 12 narrators.
And it feels so true to the ASC, building sets out of bodies.
Yeah.
And not building sets out of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah,
and
absolutely.
And the whole theater of the imagination vibe. I do want to harp on something because I remember the first read through that the admin company did with Jay of that script.
Yes.
Because he was like, tell us what you think. And there was a stage direction in there for the entrance of Future that said, perhaps on a zip line.
Yeah.
And I would like my zip line.
I know.
Where is the zip line?
Someday.
I understand the
Someday.
entrance.
Well, we tried it. We tried it in 2018.
We did? How? Tell me everything.
So we did. We tried it. It came from right there. It came from the rose window, and landed on stage, and it just kind of fell apart over and over again. I think what we learned is like puppetry is one of those like really highly specialized skills that you sort of have to. It seemed like maybe we needed like really a puppet maker and to spend a lot of care and time on this thing to develop it. That would be way longer than what the rehearsal period was. But we did try that. And so that actually in 2018, there was a puppet that was Future, but it ended up coming from the trap.
Oh.
I think. We actually played with it coming from the heavens and from the trap.
The heavens would be so, that's not where that comes from. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
He's scary.
Yeah.
He should come from hell.
Yeah.
Speaking of coming from hell.
So maybe someday a zip line could come back. Who knows? Although the stilts are very cool too.
The stilts are very cool.
Yeah,
Yes.
the stilts are very
Future
cool,
still
too.
has an epic entrance, and I think what we found with that has become its own icon.
Yeah,
So
and maybe we try a human from a zip line. I don't know. That's what you were thinking. Were you thinking a puppet from a zip line or a human?
I was thinking a puppet because I know how rigging works and how we shouldn't.
Yeah.
For people.
Yeah.
And just, until we can invest in doing it safely. Yeah. But no, she doesn't. We'd like to keep her alive. speaking of hell, as we so often are, one of my favorite moments in this production is when Marley appears, usually often from the trap. Mostly, I love it because it will terrify children.
Yep.
And if we're not traumatizing at least a dozen children a season, what are we even doing?
Well, and how will we get to use our ghost spray in the lobby?
Exactly. So the front of house staff has ghost spray that they can, anti-ghost spray.
Yeah.
That is just lavender water that they can spray on the scared children and give them some stuffies and they'll be fine.
Yeah.
But when we are doing this show, we are not bringing back every single same cast member every year, right? We have people who have been in the show many times, might reprise similar roles, might move on to different roles, and then we have new people joining.
Yep.
And I assume, based on everything I know about you, that the creation process remains quite collaborative. And so there's going to be changes every time. And like last year, Marley did not enter from the trap.
Nope.
Why?
So that particular actor was, it actually started from an accessibility point of view, that opening the trap over and over and over again. I don't know if any of you have ever gotten to really take a tour and see how that thing opens, but it's a lot, it's heavy. It's heavy, yeah. And so he was nervous that doing that over and over and over again, over that amount of performances, was not going to be something that was going to be healthy for him. And so we were like, so no more. There's look at how many places there are to get on the stage, right? So that's how that happened. But I ended up really loving it.
Yeah.
We had him
to traumatize children.
Yeah, it definitely still traumatized children. But he still gave us a surprise reveal. And then he actually got a second surprise reveal because he came through came through the backstage onto the stage, and it worked out really well. What I love about having new people or just new ideas every single year is that, it keeps things fresh. I'm always happy about the fact that I truly want to allow myself to forget some of the things we've done. And knowing that if I ever need to remember them, there's an archival video, I can go look at it. But I try to know, okay, we've got a thing here if we need to rely on it. We've got a structure, we've got a procedure, we've got a system if we want it. But I think because I've been doing it so long, there's a comfort in knowing that the system exists, that I feel comfortable letting us try new things. And I think that, you can't use every idea as a director. You just can't. But that's part of the joy of taking something that is so established. It's our, as we say, tradition here. Like we say, it's our tradition here, and it is, but we can make that refreshing every year. I sort of think of it like the way you put up your Christmas decorations, or at least the way I do, that I have certain things that I'm always going to take out, but then some years you're like, I don't like this anymore. I think I want to swap it for this. Or, it sort of has the same feeling, that it's still your same special thing, but you're getting a chance to update it, to refresh it, and to really make it work for the people you have. That's the other thing. I'm a big believer that you can help people grow into a role or into a position, but you have to let people be who they are also. You have to let the casting work for you. And so if a different way of doing something is if it's not gonna make sense for this person, well, what is this person? What are they bringing? And how can we make their special thing be a part of this instead of forcing it into, what was already there? I find it to be, to get a much more solid production, because then the cast can really bring all of themselves and they can really feel confident to do their best work. So yeah.
Well, that makes me feel better about it. Thank you. If the answer to this is no, it's fine.
Okay.
But in that vein, I'm just wondering if there's anything that you can tell us to keep an eye out for those of us who have been seeing this production every year that might have that sort of special, we love this thing, but maybe we're doing a little bit differently this time, without spoiling. And if you can't, then
Sure. I think I can think of two things. The first is, as per usual, you always should look out for what are we going to use for Fezziwig music. We always like to play around with what we're going to use there. So definitely stay tuned for that. That's one to look out for or listen for. And then the other I would say is the Ghost of Christmas Present. Done a little something different with Ghost of Christmas Present. And that's all I'll say. I won't say what it is, but.
Can't wait. All right, I have one more question, and then I will open it up to these fine folks. So prepare yourselves.
It's very serious.
This is very serious times, Christmas. But no, really, the story of A Christmas Carol is one that so many of us has come back to over and over again. And I don't think I've ever seen a night here where where the audience's eyes are completely dry on the way out. I mean, it just moves us so much. And I'm wondering what hit you about this story this time around?
I think that our care for each other and every single person in our community is the thing that I was really thinking about this year. We did a lot of really specific, we call it physical dramaturgy work with Doreen. Actually, she comes in and works on this production. She's been coming in to work on this production with me. And we really try to take a close look at these very quick, like blink and you'll miss some street scenes. The script will say, or the narrator in the script will say, Scrooge passed through the city. And it's like, you get this split second, but you really want to try to have a snapshot of London. And when you think of London during Dickens' time, it was a really, 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 really tough place. And so in doing so, we always have to have conversations about what was London like and what are the parallels between London then and where we are right now and the different members of our own community right out here. I mean, I have moments where we stage these little street scenes and then I walk to the Clock Tower Apartments and I feel like I literally just see, like just literally watch what we just like worked on. Mm-hmm. You see someone that is truly like trying to bundle up for warmth and does not have a place to go. You see that person. You see people who are happy and doing their Christmas shopping. You see people lost. You see people just in a hurry trying to get somewhere. It's like you see all of it. And I think that especially hit me this year. It's just like keeping your eyes actually open to all the different members of our community, I think is what. And then also it amazes me how many times I have been a part of this production and rehearsed this production, the amount of hours, I would love to know like how many hours I've spent Christmas caroling. Like that the story still affects me. I mean, just the other day, we were working on the Sad Cratchit scene and I said something to Chris and immediately like just kind of got overwhelmed real quick. It's just amazing how it really is such a compelling story that it is still essential. I always say like taking stock of our lives at the end of every calendar year, sort of this fits, this does that for us. So yeah.
Well, now it is your turn. Does anybody have any questions for Stephanie? Yes.
The casting, I was really surprised to hear you say that you have to work with what you got.
Yeah. Which is good what I got.
Yeah.
Always
so
good.
What's the process for casting? Like, do you look for certain things or what are you looking for when you cast?
Yeah, so in the casting process, I was lucky. Yes, we are looking for specific people in a way, but we're more building a team, building an ensemble. And in doing so, I think we always try to make sure that for a production like this, that there are some familiar faces, I think, to delight audiences with actors that they love and get to see. And maybe they're in the same role and maybe they're not, but that they get to be a part of the production, and then seeing brand new folks join. So there are specific actors we're looking for, but the interesting thing is the tracks change every time. Scrooge is always Scrooge. And there are certain actors who could not be, like you could not be Bob Cratchit and Future, for example, just as one. Like, you could not play both those parts because you can't be in two places at one time. But this is the first year the same actor has ever played Marley as Christmas Present. I've never seen that happen since I've been here. And so we're really trying to figure out, okay, if we're gonna, you kind of start. It's like, you're building. So like, you start with like, one or two people, two or three, three or four people, and then you're like, okay, well, if that person's going to do that and that, then it probably means we need someone who can do this. Obviously, the other thing too is we're looking. This play has a lot of music. Our Shakespeare shows do too, but this play has a lot of music in a short amount of time, in show and pre-show and intermission music. And so I think the other thing is that making sure that that we have the instruments we're going to need. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Other questions? Yeah.
It was very interesting. I appreciate it very much. Did I hear you acting as Henry in Shakespeare?
Yeah.
Henry VI.
Henry VI, Part 1.
Yes.
I don't know how it worked. I mean, I just got lucky. It was a really, really, really fun, challenging role to take that on. And I liked that in our production. I think that the director, that Jim Warren was looking more for the person and what they were going to bring to it more than the concern for gender. I think he was looking for like, what is I think he said a vulnerability that he was looking for in that character. And so.
Did you consider him as an intelligent person, Henry VI, when you played that role? Do you remember?
Intelligence, a great word. So, ish? Yes. But I think malleable, swayable, persuadable.
We could debate on that, but that's very interesting.
Yeah. Or that's at least the direction that I think we went. Yeah, it was also 10 years ago. Yeah. So it's hard to imagine that was 10 years ago, but it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun, and it was a neat role in the fact that I got to have moments of real power, and moments of thinking I had power, and then moments where I had none. So it was all of those things all wrapped up in one, which was fun. Yeah.
I think Henry VI is a little girl, so that's just me.
There you go.
Other questions? Yes.
So you brought up Muppet Christmas Carol, which I think is incredible. Most people's, I think, first touch to the Christmas Carol is Muppets. We don't see a lot of Muppet Shakespeare, so I have like a two-part question.
Okay.
What Shakespeare do you think the Muppets should do? Because that just seems like, how has that not been done yet?
How has that not been?
Would you cast any Muppets in your Christmas Carol if you're in the Blackfriars Playhouse?
Oh my God.
Wait, okay, so starting with the first one, right, which Shakespeare should the Muppets do, and who should be the human? Because there's always one human.
Oh, okay.
I know which
Goodness.
one.
You know which one you would do? I mean, Midsummer comes to mind. I think the Muppets would do a great job with Midsummer. I think I'm going to say Midsummer. What human? Oh my gosh.
Or even like which character is the human?
Which character is the human? I don't know. Maybe it's just Theseus and Hippolyta are the humans, and that everybody else is a Muppet. Yeah. Yeah. What was the second part? Was which
Muppets would you cast in this Christmas Carol?
I mean, I'm a big sucker for Marley and Marley.
Oh yeah.
It's not as scary. It's definitely a different way to go, but I definitely love Marley and Marley. Although Kermit's pretty amazing, and Kermit's pretty amazing in Muppet Christmas Carol. I would say those are the standouts for me.
I feel like I've seen some Muppets in your Christmas carols, like when a few years ago, Sam St. Ours and Summer England were the money.
Yeah, the fundraisers.
The fundraisers, and they 100% played them as Muppets.
They did. They did.
And
They really did.
It was, what a joy.
Yeah,
To bring
yeah,
some
yeah.
some Muppetry in there.
Yeah,
Perhaps
yeah.
we don't have the resources for puppetry, but for Muppetry,
You never know
you
what,
know?
what the future holds.
I think we do have, I think our actors certainly have the resources for Muppetry.
Yes, they do.
Any other questions for our fabulous director on this snowy Friday? Yes.
I don't know.
Forever.
Yeah, one never knows. One never knows. But I do love doing it. Yeah.
I have a question about your husband. Is he in theater also?
He is. So he is, our home base is Lynchburg. So I am full-time at Randolph and part-time for a theater company called End Station Theater Company, which is a small professional company that works in partnership with Randolph College. And he's the inverse of that. So he's full-time as the executive director at End Station Theater Company, and he works part-time at Randolph. So we're sort of like, yeah. Yeah. So he teaches usually 2 theater courses a year, and then he is the executive director for that theater company. So a lot of, grants and hiring and things like that. Yeah. Yes, always.
And then occasionally, each of you will come and do things here.
Yeah. Which is always a joy, and we love the fact that we're still not far, that we can come see work here, that we can still do things like this. So, yeah.
Well, yes, Gary. I know, I was just waiting for it. I was waiting for it.
Is it a specific question you're waiting for him to ask?
No, just Gary will ask a question.
Yeah.
Based on what you said about reacting to Christmas Carol now and talking about Patrick putting 2 different jobs together, I want to ask you a political theater question.
Do it.
2 or 3 of the places that I really love are struggling to maintain their academic theater programs right now. Many of us didn't fall in love with theater as early as you did, but by the time we get here, we have.
Yeah.
But it seems to me there are people in the world who haven't done that and who don't see the value of, if not theater totally, certainly not of academic, career-minded theater. So I wonder if you could give us some notes or give us your stump speech in dealing with that reality that we're living with.
Do you mean folks who are not interested in supporting theater, or thinking it's not a valued part of academic programs?
It's not worth supporting, certainly academically.
Yeah. So I'll start by saying that I am extraordinarily lucky that at Randolph right now, the president of our college, her name is Suat Rollins. She's an actor. That she came to her job as a president through being chair of theater departments and being provost of a school of arts and working her way up that way. And so Randolph is having a moment where we are seeing that happen to lots of folks around us, and really holding even tighter to what we have, especially, well, in the fine arts and especially in the performing arts. I would say that from my point of view, from observing a very small theater program that mostly does not cater to students who, by and large, are going to go out and do this professionally. Most of the students that I teach, I would say 3 or 4 a year, leave and actually go do it and are doing it. But the vast majority of our productions are composed of cast members who are biology majors, sociology majors, robotics and megatronics, which I'm still not even sure what megatronics is, but Yeah, they're all sorts of different majors, and they're all working together. And I think that what I get a chance to see is people develop teamwork, social skills, fast thinking, fast problem solving, collaboration, figuring out how to disagree with each other, to be vital members of a workforce. All of those things I think are important. And I think that, all of us need to be entertained all the time. I mean, we all need constant entertainment. I mean, we're unfortunately getting that from screens so much, but it can't ever be underestimated, I think. Like, we always think about the deep meaning of theater, and it is, but it's also like, it's fun. It's fun. And the chance to do something that is fun is an opportunity for people to enjoy themselves as audience members and as college students, high school students, whatever, even if they're not going to do it. So I think sometimes the focus on it being a thing that is a means to an end, AKA a job, is you can major. I mean, I'm at a school where I'm lucky that I think it's a good thing where we are in this time, this moment in time, that I feel lucky that I'm actually not at a conservatory. I know that might sound strange, but I love getting to be the classes where students are taking this for an art credit. And then I'm teaching the upper level classes, which are just the theater kids, sure. But I'm introducing people to this art form, and I think that all of those skills, I mean, look at how unhappy we are as a people. I feel like if we can find more ways to infuse our lives with happiness, with organic entertainment, I don't know. That's what I have to say. I don't know if any of that was helpful at all, but from where I am, that's what I see. Yeah.
You're also helping business, in any business position.
I think it helps with every position, as you were saying.
Yeah. I mean, I think that people don't know how to work on a team. I think that those particular skills, when so much is done remotely now, actual real people skills, you can find those quickly. You can do one show in a high school or college and get a complete crash course in how to be a person working in a fast-paced environment and get along, and watch it not work and work. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, on the note of happiness and organic entertainment, and in the interest of making sure front of house has enough time to get the pay what you will hordes in here for tonight's opening performance, I will bring this to a close. Let's give Stephanie a round of applause. Thank you all for coming. Merry, happy, and I hope that you will come back and enjoy this fabulous story with us.